I'm keeping this one brief because life's being a butt right now and I am busy as hell. Midnight Reviews in his own video, go check that out, and as for everything else, we're gonna get right into it on this month's Albumpressions. Encapsulating this album in a mere 200 words is difficult, but also quite simple. It's a doom metal record, or maybe a black metal record, a drone record, maybe all three in bits and pieces. I think it's mostly the first with shades of the other two ultimately, but it does make for some sprawling atmospheric metal to really space out to, and the ebb and flow of its hour-long runtime keeps it dynamic, so yeah, a good late night listen. I do feel the production doesn't quite work for the primarily black metal track Herod Earth, but otherwise it sounds pretty damn great, and I appreciate the variety in textures too. Though it mostly boils down to a lot of roaring guitars, so I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend it's the most incredible thing I've heard this year, but there's a place for albums like these, and I quite like this one. I Vote Hanger does it yet again to the surprise of nobody. Fresh off what I'd retroactively call my favorite album of 2018 and one of my favorite albums ever. Okay, so that's a high bar, and it's gonna take me time to tell if this one even compares to it, but my initial impression is that, well, yeah, it's more of what I love about these guys. Melodic riffing, dynamic vocals ranging from clean singing all the way to harsh screams, compelling song structures, and a consistent energy that never gets overwhelming. I do feel the melodic hooks aren't standing out quite as much here, but again, that may develop with time. And the lyrics are sharp and relevant, obviously tinged by quarantine and isolation, but with shots at toxic masculinity and an anti-capitalist ethos running through its narrative that inevitably ends up feeling relatable as hell in this hell where we live in. All doing our best to just get by while slowly watching the world end in real time. Jesus Christ, man. I do wish the tracks were a bit more diverse and the album's runtime a bit longer, but going into the winter, I feel like this one's gonna be getting a lot of plays for me. At this point, Devin Townsend basically only makes music for himself, and then releases it to the public because money can be exchanged for goods and services, and your reaction or opinion on what he releases does not really matter to him. And you know what? Life goals right there. Lightwork seems to exist as an act of trying to find your center, a grounded sea of mantras not really aiming to be deeper and insightful, just basic affirmations Devin's making to himself. And some of them definitely feel relatable to me too, though broadly speaking, not as much as they could, but again, whatever. Sound-wise, this is kind of a lighter Devin Townsend project with more electronic elements infused into it, but it's not that much lighter. It's still got Devin's trademark wall of sound. There's definitely a few tracks here that are just outright metal. It's not particularly fresh sounding on the whole, but Devin's always been able to write a damn good tune, and there's at least enough variety on display to keep it compelling for its relatively trim runtime. Good stuff, but at this point, that's basically a given with Devin. Oh yeah, the bonus disc. You know what? Sure, for the content. It's definitely less of a coherent product and more a scattered collection of songs that didn't make the cut for the main disc, whether it's because they don't quite fit or just weren't quite good enough. Though, I mean, this is still Devin Townsend making Devin Townsend music, so there's a baseline of quality regardless. The album starts as a purge of the loudest, angriest sounds and feelings on either disc, before settling back into a more comfortable, lower-key mood alongside the rest of Lightwork, including a full-on 7-minute reprise of the main album's closer, which, maybe a bit indulgent. The long, sweeping epic of Precious Sartini is a particular standout, and while I'd say after that the album kinda runs out of momentum, it's still a solid collection of tunes that's at least worth a spin. Shout out to German post-hardcore, gotta be one of my favorite genres. There's just something about the combination of the German language and the specific style of raspy screams a lot of these bands employ that just sounds impassioned. And there's an undercurrent of anger here, unsurprisingly, at the state of the world and the fascist system leading us all into a death spiral. Also, a reference to an American Tale for some reason. Cool. The real strength is just in the raw, melodic, and aggressive instrumentation, though with an undercurrent of post-metal running through it as well. Songs are heavy but never overwhelming, intense and thrilling, but tempered with moments of beauty, and it just all sounds damn good, man. Flows really well front to back as well, which is always a plus. My only real nitpick is a lack of hooks, which kinda comes with the territory of this borderline screamo sound, I guess, and maybe those moments will stick out more on future listens anyway, so yeah, cool stuff. Wings up for me. In general, there's a specific sound of black metal I tend to like more than most, and I've often called it cosmic black metal or something like that, but there's definitely bands I like that don't really have that cosmic feel. Rather, they sound haunted, like the wails of ghosts trapped in my speakers. That's what Forelunar sounds like more than anything. Haunted and almost biblical, certainly in its lyrics, which have a very religious, scripture-like feel to them, but more in its use of choir vocals throughout. Pair that with a generally good mix and guitar tone, and yeah, this is absolutely my jam, albeit a bit lacking in variety beyond the soundscape. soundscapes. Something about a lack of actual melodies past just playing the chords, and very rare shifts in dynamics. Definitely still something I enjoy listening to, and an Iranian black metal band isn't something you see every day, but maybe not the most unique of its style either. Still damn cool though. Alright, that's as good a place as any to stop. The season's coming up, and the end of the year tends to be a bit dry for albums, so we'll see how much I have to share next month, but until then, y'all take care.